And we're live. Hello.
Hey.
Hello, Justin, and hello, everyone. We are going to be talking about the music in Toby or T0B. What is it? T0B1.
T0-B1.
Star Wars Visions episode six?
6,
Six.
7, 8, 9. Yeah, 6.
Six. Yes, episode six. And yeah, it's just Justin and me today. And oh my gosh, let me off the bat, I loved the music in this episode. I loved the music in Toby. I really
This
did.
was this was like my sound design score dream.
Oh my god! And honestly, it was mine too. Um, it oh, it was so
There's
good. So I loved it. It was so I found it so charming.
yeah.
I mean, a lot of it is like, well, Justin. I mean, clearly you have like a modular synth right behind you. And um, I, yeah. Okay, let's. Where do we even start? Like, it's just, it's so. I will say that like parts of it reminded me of Disneyland.
Yeah. Yeah, there was it had that kind of Star Toursy, Galaxy's Edge, all the bleeps, the bloops, and the interactions
In like a
with everything
specific
to me.
way, because it wasn't just that it was like bleep bloopy. It was like
Right.
in in a very like Disney way. But I don't even mean like Disney, like Disneyfication of things. I mean like in a specifically like theme Disneyland way. Like,
And
because it reminded
interesting.
me of like um, a lot of the things on the Disneyland Disneyland Records or whatever, the Legacy Collection album, which has music from the theme parks, and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of those like transitions and things reminded me of things that like as you get further and further down the on the album. I don't know if it's like Astro, and it might be Epcot stuff or something, but so yeah, parts of it reminded me of even like Phantasmic, like some Tarzan stuff, maybe even, and Miracles of Molecules or something like that,
Yeah.
or one of those like I don't Who Framed
Do
Roger
you,
Rabbit, maybe I don't even know, just
do you think it's because it had
Caravan
this?
of
Yeah. Do you think it's because it has this like, and I say this in the, I don't know how I'm trying to say it actually. Like this, it has this like
childlike.
childlike wonder
Yeah,
about all of it.
absolutely.
It's
Yeah,
happy music. It's keeping you up. It's kind of moving you along. Um,
yeah,
it's not really sitting still. You know.
yeah. And I think like it's not that it was just like well, I of course I had to play a minor second, which is not at all. It's not just that it was like synthesizers, like overt synthesizers. It wasn't just the instruments; it was like the construction of them, and we can get into this more. It was like this. They were. It was like sound designy, like very placed moments that were like
Hmm.
multiple things happening at once. Like clearly, the person who composed this is like very comfortable as an electronic producer because it wasn't just like a composition using synths. It was like it felt very like I don't know. It felt like really carefully constructed. Like and also I felt that way about the animation too. Um,
Yeah.
like I felt like every time like Toby took a step, it was like a really nice sound that accompanied it. It was just it felt very lived in. Like the world felt very real to me.
Yeah, it's very easy, and this is something I really appreciated about the scoring, kind of like what you just mentioned. And now it's a very lifelike score. And what I mean by that, it's very easy, and I know this with when composing or producing with electronic instruments, for it to kind of sound. Sometimes I use the word like cold or
Yeah.
stale,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and just very overly produced, compressed. In the
Yeah.
for those that don't know what that means, in the music world, compression is about squashing a signal down so that it doesn't reach above a certain level, and also brings up quieter things. So it's kind of like taking a very large volume range and squeezing it here so it never changes. Compression, the good example is something that's overly compressed, you never have to turn down in your car. It's
Yeah.
the
Something
example
that's
I like to use.
compressed is like the louds become softer and the softs become louder. So everything just becomes more medium. It's
Exactly.
the
And this score,
mediumification. Yeah.
yeah, and this score was so lifelike. You could tell that every little bit, every sound effect, everything had a dynamic range to it. It was, and none of them felt, almost nothing in this felt like it was on loop, if you know what I mean. Like it was just, here it is, 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 the same way. Even if it was a
Yeah.
very similar sound or the same sound, even, it was a little bit different every time.
Totally. Like there were some parts that were looped. I'm going to scream into my microphone. All right. So there are some parts that were looped, but it was like just one layer out of many layers happening at the same time. So, yeah, exactly what you were saying. Like, and I know this is composed by two different people.
Mhm.
And one of them seems to be more of an electronic producer, and one of them seems to be more in like the contemporary classical composing. So, a very interesting collaboration. And from what I understand, like Astro Boy itself, this is kind of in the style of Astro Boy. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. If anyone didn't catch that reference from the episode, the the
Yeah, by
animation
now.
was, yeah, by now. The animation, um, the style, the sounds, the scores were very, very tribute, very much a tribute uh, to Astro Boy, a very famous anime that started in the 50s, black and white actually, and had a resurgence in the 80s. And then recently there was a CG movie made out of it. Um, but it's all very, I mean, even down to T0-B1,
When
which
was the
is
CG
Toby.
movie?
CG movie was 2009. Um, I like the first thing I referenced or caught, besides how TOB1 looked very much like Astro Boy in that sense. Um, Toby was the name of
Yeah.
the child who becomes Astro Boy.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Um, I want to talk a little bit about the symbol, like about the nature of Astro Boy as a story. But before then, let me play something.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I should have practiced this. Oh, wrong instruments. But
I
where
love
was
this
that
score
from?
so much.
I know. I know. So, do you know where that was from, or do you know what track that was?
I don't know the track name, but was this, or actually maybe it is it Mikata's Lab?
No, but it's Start the Droids. But I
Oh, right.
associate it with like, I don't know, like the theme, the main.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
I like to me
I'm
this. No. It's to me like the that symbolizes or like it's like the main theme kind of,
Hmm.
or it's the one where like then later the theremin goes like.
Hmm. So
So,
just real quick, a theremin. I have one somewhere. I should have brought it out. They're so hard to play. They're so
yeah,
hard to play. Theremins were one of the very first electronic musical instruments, and you play it without actually touching it. It's two wires. There's one that antenna that sticks up and antenna that sticks out to the side. And the closer you get to it, the higher the pitch goes. Farther away, the lower. Closer here is volume, various volumes and stuff like that. They're so difficult to play. Uh, Carolina Eck Eki is a really great performer to look up.
It looks like magic because you're
It's
like,
and it's so hard too because you have to if you watch her play, she has it almost looks like sign language for the
hmm.
specific pitches, but there's no you just go that's it. Kind of a thing. So it's used in a lot of early sci-fi
How
films.
much equipment do you need to be able to play that?
It's just a box, two antennas, and then the circuits on the inside. You stick it into an amp, and that's
So it's
about
like
it.
it's all in one box.
Hmm.
What
Hmm.
about speakers?
You do need a speaker. You do
Yeah.
need a speakers or something that to listen to it with, like a headphones or something like
Is it
that.
like an XLR out or like a
Uh,
quarter inch
it's a
out?
quarter inch. Yeah, it's a quarter inch out. That's it, and
Oh
a couple
wow.
knobs that you can
Now
kind
I'm
of like
like, crap.
calibrate it and stuff. Oh,
Now
they're
I
great.
want
You can.
one. Oh crap.
Oh, they're so wonderful.
Uh,
The anyways, off topic. It was originally designed as a proximity sensor,
oh my
and
gosh.
they
I
liked
want
the sound
one.
it
Oh, I
made.
want one. All right. Well, anyway, on that. So even just in that opening, like now this it's so it's okay, so it kind of has this like ticking clock thing sound where
Mhm.
it's like dee 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 dee. Did you hear that?
Yeah, yeah. It's like this mechanical thing to me. It's showing that it's all droids. It's all
Yeah.
you know, which I
Toby is
love.
in droid form. And then just the way that that like phrase ends, it's like a fake out ending and it kind of it sounds like it's happening a bar early. Um it's not really happening a bar early, but it's an example of one of those like lifelike details in it. So I'm talking about like ugh, and then and then I'm talking about this part where it kind of like sounds like it's an ending of sorts, like it's an
Mhm.
arrival. Do you know what I mean? It was like,
Yeah, yeah.
ugh. And then it just kept going. It was just an example of like one of those placed, like just really nice little details. I don't know. You can almost imagine like you're watching an animation, and this animation was like that, which is
Hmm.
why like the score and the sound design went so hand in hand. You can almost imagine it like also in a Disney thing or like in a ride or something where like it's like yeah, the soundtrack is going along, but it's not just like detached from the scene. It's like, and this is when a character's picking something up, and like it's baked into there, you know?
Yeah, totally. There was a lot of moments in this that I was very hard to separate the sound design or what we would consider, that this in what was it diegetic sound, something that's actually happening within the scene versus the score itself. I going back and watching the episode and then going to listen to the actual soundtrack. I was like, I'm missing things.
Right.
It's like
Right. And like
because
the score evoked like we in contrast with like say The Village Bride, which we were talking about how the music sounded detached from the visuals, and it it works vibe wise, but it's not detailed. It's just a different, it's just different. And this was like the details were very like it really matched the scene. Like this was one of the ones where I could turn it off, like turn off the visuals and just listen to it and kind of like it would evoke something that's on screen.
totally. And really, there was barely a second that didn't have something happening.
Yeah,
Even the
that is true.
soundtrack wasn't doing it. The sound design kind of became not only what was happening in the scene, like a droid flying by, or um, the professor's chair. um, the sound design itself had such a musical quality to it. Again, going back to how lifelike. they made all
It was
these robot
so
sounds.
it was so lifelike, and it was about robot. It was like about droids, and I mean, this one had so much heart to it. Yeah, for anyone watching, like, tell us your favorite, like your favorite part of this short, or even like your favorite musical moment, or like your favorite sound effect or something. And I just thought the animation was very beautiful too.
Totally,
Very
yeah.
beautiful.
I will admit, when I was first watched, very long time, when these episodes
Like
came out, when I
like a month and a half
oh
ago. Yeah.
gosh, um, when I first the first few minutes of the episode, I was like, maybe this isn't going to be one of my favorites. And then quickly, by the mid to the end of the episode, I was like, you know what? I completely changed my mind. This episode is fantastic. I knew it was going to be great, because I've been really thinking all these have such charm, um, from all of them. But it was a really nice. I'm gonna just say like a palate cleanser, almost, from all the other ones. It was just so lighthearted and different, even in the darker moments of this episode. It really became one of my favorites.
Yeah. I mean, Toby, I love Toby.
I like his little. I like C3O or CO3.
CO3. Oh,
His grating little voice. I loved it so much. So mechanical. It was like almost like uh, uh, a DC motor. If you ever heard or seen one of those, anything
yeah.
that has like an RC car, a little remote control car or something like that. Got that whine, that buzz, but it feels like it's a machine like. I mean, it is a machine, but it has a very fast gear sound to it.
I think these stories where, like, someone who is not a real boy, or either Pinocchio or like a puppet or a droid or whatnot, wanting to be real, I feel like, or like wanting to be human, I feel like that in itself is what makes them have the stuff that it takes to be human.
Yeah,
Just that desire, period. Like the fact that he wants to live, like he wants to be like he wants to be human so bad. He wants to be a Jedi, or um it's just an interest. It's like a perplexing parable in so many ways.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
also, if you think of like Professor Mitaki wants, if he's creating a droid to be like a surrogate son or something, most of all wants the droid to be real.
yeah.
So, but him sort of trying to temper, I don't know, try to be like the parent in the situation is just interesting, because he's like, all of this really comes from the professor. It's not like, so yeah, the professor must have programmed the droid to want to be real.
Right, or either that, or was surprised by. I wonder how artificial intelligence works within the Star Wars realm. I mean, a lot of these droids have such personalities. Um, even the ones that don't speak, uh, is it basic?
Yeah.
English, um, within it, and uh, I wonder if there is a point within this world that the professor is like, oh, he wants to be a Jedi, kind of thing. Darn it, you know. Um, in
It's
a
like,
way,
I
because he's always
better figure out how to teach him. You need a kyber crystal.
Kyber crystal, and it was anyway.
So much.
um, so much,
Anyway,
so much fun.
do you have an example
Okay,
to play?
yeah, I got a little sound effect for you. Let's see here. First off, is this too loud?
That's good.
All right. This one stood out to me. It was one of my of all the insane sound effects throughout this entire. It's so hard to pick like a favorite. Also, one that I could easily recreate. So here's one of my favorites that stood out. See if I do this right. Yeah, that's fine. Play that one again. Yeah.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
stuck.
Um, I don't know. I have no idea.
I will point out that this particular effect comes in. Uh, there are a lot of other things that are very similar happening to it with it, but there's one. There's a difference in what it was representing. So this one here, I was just playing, was the rain hitting the rock. Oh, we lost you.
Wow.
Was the rain hitting the rock, and as the rain was hitting, you get all these
Oh.
little delay sounds and stuff, and echoes and stuff like that.
What a neat
And
sound
then,
effect to put there.
yeah, and then a few seconds later, there's another kind of uh, echo sound effect that happens when Toby finds the crystal and it constructs the lightsaber. But it's a little different. And this one I couldn't recreate uh, because the delay, the echo, pitches up as it goes and gets a little faster. So you get a little bloop, 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 or actually it got slower, bloop, 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 bloop,
Oh.
kind of a thing.
Is that the
Which,
same sound that ended one of the I feel like some of the music and like one of the tracks on the album ended with this very high pitched crystal sounding
yeah,
thing?
I think so as well. I can't remember the track name. But yeah, it's a fun effect to do, and if we want to be a little bit of a nerd about it, what you do to achieve that kind of bloop 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 kind of a effect, you need two things. You need an echo of some kind, so that you get the do 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 do,
Mm.
and then you need a pitch shifter. A pitch
Oh,
shifter
to
is
make it go
something that
up.
when I sing into it or I play into it, it'll transpose my instrument up a whatever, a fourth, a fifth, or whatever you set it to, kind of a thing. But to get the endlessly rising, you need to you need to feed the echo into the pitch shifter, back into the echo. So it's a
Oh.
feedback. So every time the echo goes one
Yeah, so it pitch
pitch,
shifts
and
the
then it
echo.
shifts it up again, and then up again, and then up again, and up again, and up again, kind of a thing. And I didn't have that around
That's
to make
cool.
happen. That's a fun one. I think you could do that in Logic, though.
You probably could. You could
Delay Designer, one of my favorite things.
oh,
One of my favorite
yeah.
plugins, the Delay Designer. Um, you can definitely do something like that. Uh,
Live?
yeah, that was a
Yeah, you could do it
fun
live.
effect. I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, that was a fun effect. I loved the plinks and the plonks of the rain. I'm always interested in how rain is represented.
Yeah, me too.
Um, whether
I know
it's
from what the times, yeah, like visually too.
yeah. um, so that was a cool little effect that I loved within this episode.
Hey Terry, um, something about the plinks and the plinks and the plunks.
Plinks,
Um,
plonks.
it's that there were so many different kinds of them. Like there were just a lot of different kinds of percussive pitched plunks,
Yeah,
and I found it fascinating how many textures there still it still felt like there were, or like it there was a good amount of distinction between them because there was like there was like the sound effects like the rain, there was like synthesized string pizzicato, um there was like the marimba, there was um like the wind instrument, like the spitting part of it, you know what I
yeah,
mean? There were just a lot of like, and then there were like sort of the, oh, and even within the marimba, because the marimba has such a big range, There was like high ones and low ones. And I felt
Yeah.
like the way that they blended together with the sound design and amongst each other, because clearly like we were saying, like this electronic producer knows what, like they knew what they were doing. I don't know. I just felt that was very impressive, because sometimes, like we were saying, an electronic score can sound really sterile, or just
Yeah.
like the plunks are just there to sound percussive or something. And this was it felt imbued with so much life.
Yeah, in the electronic music world, plinks and plonks and stuff like that are such an art
Yeah,
because it's easy to just make a little click or something like
yeah,
that. But there's so many
yeah,
different ways of making them, and they all have such different character. And how you design them really kind of shows off your sound design skills in different
yeah.
ways.
And this was like, I'm just so curious. Like, oh, hey, Darth Chaco. This episode didn't strike me so much musically, but sound design I thought was great and
Mhm.
varied. And yeah, and I think like Justin and I have been talking about how they felt really together. Like the sound design and music felt very meshed together. So, I mean, what one person, like where sound design stopped and music started, like that line is kind of blurred. And
Yeah,
what else were we? There was something else that was on the tip of my tongue, but I can't remember. But in any case, I'll play another example.
let's hear it.
All right. So this goes back to what we were talking about, how the repetitive loops didn't necessarily sound as repetitive. I actually think that what I'm about to play was kind of a motif of sorts, even though it was
Mhm.
like I would call them more like cells, like repeating patterns. So that was one of them. I think it was lower.
Mhm.
It's like, and then there would be times where like I can't do it together. No, never mind. I didn't practice this. Okay, no. But then it would be like, like that thing repeated a lot, and it was very associated. Oh, I should let you tell me where that was
No, I
from.
was gonna say, no, it repeated a lot, and I had two distinct moments. I remember it in where the track adventure where he's off searching for the kyber crystal. I love how he's looking behind the same four rocks in that. And then during the final scene, a final fight scene with the Darth unnamed Darth Lord. I don't think they had a name.
I don't
They
know.
just
I don't
looked
know.
like the dark. It looked like the was it the Black Knight from King Arthur kind of a thing going on, um, or Monty Python's uh, and the Holy Grail.
But yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it's always like a searching, a curious figure
it's like
kind of
Toby's
a
adventure motif.
thing. Which is funny because I had uh,
Nice. I love it. Um, it's funny because that's a very like, it's not like an earth shattering in isolation. It's not like, oh wow, what a cool way to organize those notes. It's like minimalist music does that a lot, and it's not that uncommon, and it's not, it's not like the music itself is not what makes it interesting. Which I think when we talk about why certain music is cool, or when we were talking about music we love, I think like it gets very reductionist to like, oh, it's cool because like it does this major six. They're like whatever, and oftentimes like all of those things are common, and that in itself, if that were the thing that made something like really cool, it would be a lot easier to write music, trust me.
Yeah.
And it's more like the way that it is used and the way that it comes together is what makes it special. And here I think is like a perfect example of that. Like that is like in isolation, you could play, if you played that for me, I'd be like, that's super basic. Okay. I've probably accidentally written that 100 times.
I'm sure I have. I've
Yeah,
programmed
sure I
something
have.
very similar
Yeah. Yeah.
over and over again.
They
But
copied
what
it
was
from me.
cool about the variation in this track, besides the tone of this, I couldn't decide whether it was a actual marimba or if it was something recreated.
I think it was all
'Cause
synth.
it was because modal or modal synthesis or what else is it called, model synthesis, sorry, not modal, model synthesis. root um, model synthesis is the creation of the resynthesis of physical sounds, and it's
Oh.
used a lot to, I mean, recreate everything from strings to plucks on a string, to wind sounds, to most commonly percussion instruments,
And
and
you mean
it's
this as something separate, and you mean as distinguished from sample libraries?
exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
So for those listening, like if when we talk about like synth sounds, like not real strings, like what I'm playing is not a real marimba, obviously. Um, but I think, at least I think, actually, I don't know which one the Logic native marimba. Which one is that a synth? Is that a sample
I
library or is that a?
think that's a sample library.
Yeah. Okay. So if it's a
Yeah,
sample, if it's a sample sound, that means that like the reason I'm able to play these marimba sounds is because the people who created this sound like took microphones and recorded the sound, the actual sound being played, and then they like mapped it out to to this software instrument, and this looks like a piano, but it's actually just a glorified button machine. And when I press a button, it sends a MIDI like associated. It sends like a MIDI code or like a MIDI signal that's associated with, it matches with something in the. Am I explaining this right? It matches with something in the
totally,
virtual
totally.
instrument that says, oh, that's like a, their notes are like numbered. So it's like, oh, it's like a 1, 3, 4 or something, whatever. And it matches to the note. So it kind of gives me the illusion of like, oh, I'm playing a C on the marimba. But this, I'm just pressing the button that like
That's playing back.
tells it to play what it recorded as a C. But the other way to have a synthesized sound is to actually like not record the instrument out in the wild, is like what Justin was saying, like
Total recreation of a sound. And model synthesis, it takes everything from uh, uh, how hard something is hit, the velocity, and what that does to the sound, not just make it louder, because a lot of electronic instruments, if you work with how hard you hit the key, it'll just kind of bring up the volume a little. But what that actually does, so like if I wish James was here.
You mean like
as he could
velocity?
velocity.
Yeah,
As
like this has velocity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we know that if we hit a marimba or a drum or anything harder, it doesn't just get louder, it changes the sound. It changes the sound, and different ways of which we hit it. So that's what model synthesis is all about, is balancing the different tones, and harmonics and decays, and across all these features, all these features to make it sound as realistic or interesting as possible.
Would you say it's sort of like CGI versus deepfake?
Ooh, yeah, it's kind of, it would to me it's more like CGI in a way.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's totally created, and deepfake is, well, You use sort of source material.
You use source material to put it in something. So yeah,
And you're
I would
kind
agree
of
with this
limited by the
analogy. Yeah,
quality of the source material that you got or something.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would go with this. I would go with this analogy.
Tentative comparison.
I like that.
Do you have
Oh, that's
another
funny.
example to play?
Yeah, I got another little sound. Let's see. I did a sound effect. I've got. Oh, here's a little sound effect for y'all. This one might be easy though. Let's see, this is. Oh, sorry.
No, it's
Excuse
okay.
me.
I get startled.
Trying to bring up the volume.
Whoa.
It might not be perfect, but it's the best I
It
could get on
sounded very
this.
fast. Or it sounded very. At first, I thought it was something with like on Toby's body. Is it?
Hmm?
Is it his
Hmm.
walking?
It is his walking,
Oh,
or at least
I love
my
it.
attempt my attempt to recreate his walking.
I was like,
Um,
it wasn't just one static sound. It was like, I think that's what tipped me off. Is it wasn't like a beep and it has the same length every time. It was like some of them sounded faster and some of them sounded a tiny bit slower.
exactly, and that's what I mean. We've already
Good
said
job,
this a few
Justin.
times. We already said this a few times in this episode of how every sound, even if it was the same thing,
Yeah, and that's another
like
example of like how good the sound design was in this episode.
was changing. Yeah, exactly. Every step that Toby made sounded just a little bit different. Sometimes it
Yeah,
was a hard clink, so a fast attack, or sometimes it had a little whip at the beginning.
exactly. It's not like they
Sometimes it
just recorded the sound for steps and then whenever he stepped, they did the sound for the steps. It
exactly,
was
yeah.
like as if they modeled synthesis, it's like model synthesis or whatever for. So it moved according to Toby's walking. It was great.
Which must have been a lot of fun. I want to imagine that that wasn't like placed in Logic or whatever program they were using, but they were sitting there going
Like playing it
like
live.
a keyboard to it.
Oh
Like
my gosh.
um, I
That would
I
be
would
really
love
cool
that.
to be the sound
Love
design,
that job.
but to do it live like on, on a keyboard.
Yeah, kind of just how they do in Foley work,
Yeah.
where they're usually live to a scene, recreating or recording in the sound effects to stuff, even if it's not the exact, even if what they're using is not the exact thing on the screen. It's just the best way to represent that. A good example I've done in the past was uh, I used a bowl of rice, dry rice, for snow, for crinkling in the snow. And I sat there with my bowl and I watched this person walk, and I was like, the entire time, which is a fun project to do.
That's great. And we did our candy thing, which was not for sound design, but that was yeah, this
Pandemonium.
is that's a deep cut. But anyway, yes, I loved that. I'm glad that you had that sound to demonstrate. The last thing that I'll play is, and I will say that like today, Podathon is going on. So I don't know if you know what that. Do you know what that is, Justin? I think it's an all day like streaming. It's an all day it's an all day marathon of shows and whatnot.
Hmm.
Of Star Wars content creators and stuff streaming. So everyone's been streaming all day. So if we end by 4, we can catch the. I think it's like an AI made. What is it? I don't know. There's like a play is happening. There's gonna be
Ooh.
like another thing happening at 4, which will be cool to see. And they're raising money for Make a Wish Foundation. That's like the whole
Oh,
point of
awesome.
it.
Send me
So
that
there's a lot
link.
of like Star Wars authors and like people who have been doing stuff all day. So yeah. Okay.
Hey, we're part of Podathon. I didn't think about that.
Well,
That's
we're
great.
not, but
In a way, but, we're Star Wars streaming.
Brad has a comment. To me, the marimba sounds like. Wait, let me put at it. To me, the marimba sounds like tapping on glasses filled with various amounts of water, which
Yeah,
matched a lot of glass in the background when Toby was doing his science to terraform the planet.
yeah,
Yeah,
I love that. Love that vision.
that is so true because the marimba is such a warm instrument to me. It's such a, and I don't know, the image of it filled with like as I don't know, dependent on what like it evokes water for me for sure. Um,
Yeah, and again, this goes right back to that modal. I keep saying model synthesis, where it's balancing. You hit a glass, and there's so many tones
yeah,
in it. It's not just a pure ring sometimes, but there's so many different things in there. Um, so it's recreating all of that, which is
yeah,
uh,
and again back to the art style, like the texture of the visuals or whatever was not. It was very. I don't even know if intricate's the right word. It was multi-textural. It looked like it was handmade almost. Yeah,
yeah,
like the backgrounds. Or I don't know. I don't really know how animation is made like in a very like I've never done it myself, but it just something about it looked very special.
yeah.
So no, wrong
Ooh,
sound.
ooh, ooh.
I'm just gonna put on this a piano. Okay, that's what I was doing. Okay, I wrote something down. And I was like, what am I playing? Okay. This is kind of a trick question.
Oof, oof. It's a nice one. I don't remember who this was from. Seems sad
It's
though.
kind of a trick question.
Trick question. It was in episode 7. No. Okay. I'm not sure anybody in the comments know. Any guesses?
So I think I don't. Was it in the episode or was it just on the soundtrack? That may have
Ah.
been why.
Oh,
I'm trying to think. Wait. It was from Electronic Force,
right.
and
Okay.
it's deceptive. It's kind of deceptive. Well, I think part of it was in the episode. It opens on theremin, and the melody is like it repeats in cello too. That's the main thing
Mm-hmm.
that like really stood out to me, and that stood out to me because of several reasons. Like, first, the way that it comes in is like it has that fourth, and then the way that it goes reminds me of something we've talked about a couple, like I think in 2 other streams already, which was the sort of almost fake out chord progression to Across the
Yeah.
Stars.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
That's funny.
it doesn't read like that. Like when I listen to it, it doesn't overtly it sound like that. But when I play it on the piano in that style, it is brought out more. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
so sometimes the presentation, like the way it's repped, really matters, and the way that I played it made it like it characterizes it in a different way than I think it comes off. Yeah. So that's why it's kind of a trick question, because sometimes I think about like the utility of playing examples on the piano, and I think there's something interesting about it Well, one is that like to a lot of people, the piano is like just the ubiquitous instrument for cut and dry musical examples, just because a piano is normally one of the instruments that people have, and it's something that you can play chords and melodies on at the same time. So it's just, it's like just the basic thing that, and culturally speaking, I think the piano is like a singers warm up with it. It's sort of like a basic instrument, but it's not really a basic instrument to everyone. But still, like I still stand by it as like a good general. If you can't decide, just you do it on piano. You have a lot of fingers you can use. And
Yeah.
but for a lot of people, the melody and harmony, like the essence of a tune or a song, doesn't shine through in piano examples. It does when people have an ear for melody and harmony, and when the song, has elements of that are interesting, but it doesn't for other people, or for people who maybe are more attuned to timbre and rhythm and other aspects of music that don't necessarily get translated to doing a piano example.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that is something I think about sometimes, because I mean, I know from doing Guess the Tune on Instagram is like when I play, like I usually play like a melody, and sometimes like there's some people that either they know the song, or even if they don't know the song, once they know what the answer is, they're like, oh, I can hear that. Yeah. But there's some people who like, even when they know the answer to the song, hearing it played on the violin doesn't connect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, because like you were saying, timbre for a melody, for a sound, for a song is it's a, it there's a reason why someone chose that, and be it the instrument that they play, or that's the kind of the sound that they were going for. And piano, I get what you mean by it's I can't remember which word you use, almost bare
Yeah.
in its own way, because every key sounds, this is a general statement, sounds the same.
Yeah.
It's every little bit of it sounds the same. There's not a whole lot you can do to change it beyond hitting the key a little harder and releasing a little bit more emotion, I suppose, or timbre.
Yeah.
um,
And in the T0-B
but
score, like the sounds of the different zaps and bloops and whatever are so important.
exactly. So good though. Um, yeah, I don't remember that in the episode now, but it was in the soundtrack. Huh.
Oh, the soundtrack is very good.
So good.
And the
Um,
episode, yeah. I enjoyed it. What do you think of like what were some of your overall thoughts on the episode? Like, did it bother you? Because you actually have seen Astro Boy.
mhm. I thought it was. Again, when I first was watching it, the first thing I thought was, "Oh, it's Astro Boy," and it's more of a childlike episode in a way. This one's for the kids, and then it slowly, as the episode went on, it was no longer it
You
got
didn't
me
feel
in the end.
yeah.
It got me in the end. Like I was like, oh, okay, yeah, okay, I like this. I like this. Not that I wouldn't have liked it if it was mostly a childlike episode made for kids in a way. I think part of the charm of it was the Astro Boy kind of tribute reference in a
Mm.
way to it. It's kind of like, especially for anime fans going, hey, aha, I know that one, in a way, versus recognizing the specific studio style. It's more like, here's a reference to another space agey kind of thing, but another reimagining of because even the professor looked
I
exactly
know,
like an
looked
Astro,
very
Astro
yeah,
Boy
I
character,
looked it up.
uh,
Like the
in a
white
way.
cloudy beard type and hair or
Yeah,
whatever.
big nose kind of a thing.
I felt
Um,
like while I had not seen Astro Boy, I know Pinocchio, and is also very Pinocchio, right? I mean,
yeah,
it's the
yeah.
same thing as Pinocchio too, pretty much.
Mhm.
And it also gave me some slight vibes of like Tales of Hoffman. There is one of the Tales of Hoffman
I
And
don't know that
Tales of
one.
Hoffman was a writer who wrote The Nutcracker. And else did ETA Hoffman write? Orpheus and or I just know that, and there's an opera that is called Tales of Hoffman that is like short stories from Tales of
Right.
Hoffman. But he wrote a lot of like um,
Sandman, right?
Sandman. Yep. So he wrote
I saw.
one, and maybe it's from Sandman. I don't know. He wrote one in which like an inventor makes a daughter, named Olympia, and so there's a very famous like aria that has
Uh,
like um, it it sticks out in my mind because the like whoever plays Olympia has to like basically she's like a wind up doll that the inventor creates, and
uh,
they're like charming
uh,
people like having a dinner party, and like they're not supposed to know that it's like his doll or whatever, and she keeps like running out, and then he has to like keep winding her up, and then she can sing her song again. And so different productions will show that differently, but
that's funny.
obviously like the story of someone creating something, what, and even like we could say Frankenstein, even,
Yeah.
like or Rocky Horror. Even it there's something very like um for the adults about that, I would say.
Yeah.
Or not necessarily even for the adults, because it's not just about like wanting, in this case, wanting a son or something. It's, I don't know, I feel like in many ways there's a sense of almost like recreating one's self, like to have another chance at something. And there's like a little bit of, even if okay, even for this guy recreating his son, it's it's not for his son, it's for so he can get something back in his life that he
Yeah.
misses. Or in
I
for
wonder.
Monster, it would be like, I don't know, just creating something. Maybe making
Yeah.
art is like that. I don't know.
I'm curious in the professor's story here if uh, it seems like he left the Jedi Order or ran away from it in a way. He lost both his arms. Um, and I wonder if creating Toby was not just for a son, but for a Padawan. If the whole idea from the very beginning was that he was going to become a Jedi. Perhaps the first. Do we have any droid Jedi's? I mean, General Grievous is like not quite a Jedi.
But Toby becomes like visually sheds some of his droidness, right?
Hmm. I think so. Yeah, there's a one section where he's dreaming of being a Jedi, and he's no longer a droid. He is a human boy. Which actually, real quick, I know we're almost there, but oh my goodness, this took way too long to program, so I'm gonna play
Oh
it
my,
real quick. It
please.
took way too long to program. Uh, oh wait, there it is.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Right from his dream scene right there, when he's like, "I wish
Yes.
we were a Jedi."
Okay, so that was actually one of the parts that reminded me of something that is in a ride at Disneyland.
Ah,
But it might be because I have the soundtrack of music from rides from Disneyland. It might not even be a ride that I have gone on. It might just be
possibly. I have that
something.
same soundtrack. I love that
Yeah,
soundtrack.
it's one of the ones that is like, that's kind of later. It's like not
I'll have to go
right at the
find it too.
beginning. And it and I think maybe another reason it reminded me of Disneyland soundtracks, again, not Disney because those are concrete
Mhm.
songs, but like Disneyland, is because in Disneyland the tracks go through transitions from, scene to from room to room. And
Mm.
so it a lot of the transitions in this felt, like ride score, like the scores for rides they feel like scores. Ride music feels like score music because there's transitions, there's like scenes, there's rooms.
Mhm.
And yeah, there's definitely like one on the soundtrack where there's something like something that sounds like a synthy or RP dream something, and then it transitions into the next thing. And so I think that's maybe why this
Yeah, that's what
association was conjured for me. Brad,
I'll have to
I'm
find.
actually with you. Brad said, "Did anybody notice the professor didn't have arms until the Inquisitor mentioned it?" I did not. I didn't either. Yeah.
I was watching this with my dad the other night, and because we will press play at the same time, so he catches up and stuff like that. And I said, "Did you notice the blah blah blah?" He's like, "I didn't even notice that at all." He didn't. He's like, "I have to go watch that."
Yeah. Anyway, it was delightful,
Great
and it
episode.
kind of I love the terraforming the planet thing,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and yeah, Toby, I'm rooting for you.
I hope you get your dreams,
I'm rooting for you, Toby. Yes.
Toby. Good old Toby.
Uh,
I have to
yeah.
figure out how to make himself taller, or maybe he'll be
Well,
a little
Yoda made it
little
work.
Jedi, child droid forever.
Anyway, that was a great
Anyways,
one. And next week we'll be talking about the Elder.
yes. Oh, another good one.
Yeah.
I liked that one
And
a lot.
James will be back from Joshua Tree.
Hey,
What if he had just been gone this whole time? We can just pretend.
we just pretend. We're always in Joshua Tree.
Yeah. Justin, how was Danny Elfman?
Oh, awesome.
Oh, good.
Absolutely awesome. A lot of original voices, a lot of new voices come out, and ended the entire night
With
with
Oingo
my
Boingo.
Oingo Boingo.
Yeah. My mom and I saw that show at a few years ago, and it was also great. And so I'm glad that you had an amazing time.
He's still got it. He's still got it. Still do it.
Oh, Nightmare Before
Yeah,
Christmas. A film
good
for
one.
any season.
Any season.
Any season. Any day, any season. Always
Any
appropriate.
season. Definitely.
Anyway, thanks for joining us for another installment of music and sound commentary for Star Wars Visions. If you're still here, you should check out the Podathon stream and donate to the Make-A-Wish Foundation through that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it all on the same channel, or is it different
All on the
places?
same channel. I think they're keeping the stream, like the next person just uses the same stream.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So that's cool. All right. Outro music.
Outro music.
I had to stop that scary stuff. Let's start over.